Hi everyone, it's September and it's Hispanic Heritage Month. Aishel and I are wanting to share a little bit about our culture because we do identify as Latin American. So I would like to have Aishel introduce herself and then I'll introduce myself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Jaishel Lynch Bennett. I was born in Costa Rica and I actually moved to the United States when I was 8 years old. And I am a residence hall coordinator here at the university.
And hi, my name is Jade. I was born in Honduras and I came to the United States when I was 12 years old. I'm also a residence hall coordinator here at the university. So we're going to start by sharing some cool and fun things about our culture. So I wanted to ask Jaishel, what is your favorite part about being Costa Rican?
My favorite part about being Costa Rican is just how family oriented we are. My mom is one of 14, so I come from a fairly big family. I have a ton of cousins who we grew up as siblings. I am an only child on my mom's side, but I've never felt like an only child because of how much people I grew up around. For some odd reason, we always seem to live really close to each other no matter what country we're in. So in Costa Rica, my family lived really close to each other. Here in America, we live close to each other, and then everywhere else around the world where we are. So it's really cool to have that close-knit family, and it's something that I highly value. It's like it's very important to me. So yeah, I think that is my favorite part. What about you, Jade?
I think my favorite part about being from Honduras is the food, the music, and the beaches. I really enjoyed going back to Honduras and going to the beaches, having some typical dishes that my grandma makes. I like calling her and asking her how to make those dishes, so I really enjoy the food. The music, because I think it has a lot of fusions from other different cultures. Oftentimes when people think of Hispanic culture, we think reggaeton, and reggaeton is not like it. Like there's many other sounds and music that really tell the story of the Latin American people. So I really enjoyed that. All right, so how about your favorite thing about your culture? Being and maybe you can share how do you identify, because I also think that there's many different ways to identify ourselves, like Hispanic, Latinos, Afro-Latinos. So maybe you can share a little bit about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So fun fact, I actually did not know the term Afro-Latina existed until I got to college. So I always thought of myself as I'm Latina. And anytime anybody asks me I'm Latina, but once I was asked the question of like, okay, but there's Black people in Costa Rica, I'm like, yeah, like, of course, there's Black people everywhere you go. And then after some research, I realized that we are considered Afro-Latinos, right? Because we are from the Caribbean side of it. So I adapted the title because it was always really hard to explain to my friends of, yes, I speak Spanish. Yes, I'm also Black. Yes, I have Hispanic friends. Yes, I have Black friends. Yes, I'm just really close to everyone. So then learning about the term and just the history of it and how some of our ancestry is from Jamaica. And that's part of the Caribbean, and that's where the Afro-Latino comes from. So that is how I identify. If you say Latina, Afro-Latina, I'll probably answer to both. But yeah, that's pretty much me. As far as my favorite thing about the culture, like you said, it's the food. I think every time I go home, that's the first thing that I look forward to, whether it's the bread, the breakfast, the dinner. And like I said, I have a huge family, so cooking is one of the things that we really enjoy doing. So I'm always trying new dishes, similar to you, Jade. I'm always calling my mom of, hey, mommy, how do you make this? Or just making it up myself as I go and taste test them to see how close to my family recipe can I get it. So the food is definitely number one for me all around. Yeah, hands down. What about you?
To me, I think similar to you, Afro-Latina and Latina has been the terms that I've learned that I really identifies my roots. In Honduras, the northern part of the country is more Caribbean, Afro-infused. You can see it through the music rhythms, the food that we eat. And then the southern part of the country, it's a little bit more of the indigenous people because they still have some of those traditions and cultures that were left over from the indigenous people that live in my country, which were the Mayans. And you can also tell the difference so for example, in the Bay Islands, right, they speak Spanish, and the Bay Islands are they speak English, and the Bay Islands are part of Honduras, but in mainland, most people speak Spanish. Everywhere you go in Honduras, though, you still find people that speak English, but that's just because of the movements that have happened. But mostly in the Bay Islands, they speak English, and I think that's because of the Caribbean infusion of the culture. So that's my favorite part, because there's just a lot within a country that it's so tiny and small in the middle of Central America. So what is a fun fact about Costa Rica?
A fun fact about Costa Rica. So Costa Rica has many rainforests, and they're like beautiful. They're breathtaking. And with that, I actually got to go on vacation, and we got to zip line through the rainforest. So that was definitely one of those once in a lifetime things that you never would imagine yourself doing. But just sliding through the trees and coming past waterfalls. Another fun fact about Costa Rica is that they have a lot of active volcanoes. So when you're on a plane, sometimes depending on what side you're coming in from, the plane will shake as it passes an active volcano. So it's not like a super crazy turbulence that you're like, oh my God, we're about to fall out the sky, but you feel it's kind of like a ruffle because of the active volcano that's in the area. So that's really cool.
For Honduras, one thing that I always found fascinating is their coral reef. So like I said, the northern part is part of the Caribbean side of the country, and we have one of the best coral reefs, and we attract a lot of tourists from all over the world that want to come and snorkel or go scuba diving. There's I think it's the shark whales that, I don't know if they're called that actually, but they're really big, and they come to Honduras once a year, and people love going scuba diving with them. Not me, because I cannot be next to an animal in the water that's bigger than me. So that's the cool part, I think, that people mostly go to Honduras for, but also the ruins. So similar to Mexico, and some people may have heard of like the Aztecs and Chichen Itza and all of those really cool ruins. Honduras also has pretty cool ruins that were from the Mayans, and those are located in the Copan ruins in the southeast part of the country. So it's a really cool site for people visiting. But yeah, I think those are some pretty cool facts.
Yeah,
but that's all for my questions. Did you have any other questions?
No, I mean, I don't have any questions, but I definitely want to welcome any of you all who ever want to sit and talk a little bit more with us about either food, family, the ruins, or just being Afro-Latina or Latina. And those of you who might still have questions about your identity, right? Reach out to us, have a conversation with us. We're actually really excited. We love to share recipes. Jade and I often call each other and like, hey, how do you make this? Okay, good. And then we try it out, and we would love to do the same with you. So let us know if you have any questions.
Awesome. And with that, we hope that you are able to engage in some sort of research or learning this September month, which is the month of Hispanic Heritage. And if nothing at all, we will have visuals, and we will be celebrating throughout the month. The university will be celebrating throughout the month. And hopefully you're able to take away and learn some things about Latin American and the Hispanic heritage. So thank you all.
Thank you.